Welcome everyone. Welcome to How You're Designed to Love. I'm so glad that you're joining me here. Relationship mechanics, and we're looking at today how you're designed to love. If you don't know me, I am Laveena. My name was Andrea Abayabai. I recently changed it officially, legally, to Laveena Lovick. I'm a 3-5 emotional projector, right angle cross of contagion, and I am a professional partnership analyst, so I can do partnership analysis, and I'm also a Human Design Foundations teacher. So I teach Living Your Design, Rave ABCs, and Rave Cartography, which are the primary courses that are required before you become any kind of professional in the human design system. I also have co-authored a book that is available on jovianarchive.com called An Introduction to Discovering Yourself, and that is available for free if you want to go and get that book. It's more based for newcomers, and so if you're coming to this experience with me today, this workshop, please know that I might be using language, and I'm going to do my best not to lose you. I might be using language that you don't really quite understand what I'm saying. So if you have a question, what does that mean? Please do feel free to ask the question if you need some help. I want to make sure that nobody's left behind and that we're all on the same page when we talk about things. But for those of you who are experienced in human design, like we have a couple of professionals actually in this course who have taken either BG5 or human design professional training, feel free to use that chat to answer any questions or to add on to things, because hey, I'm a third line. Sometimes I might misspeak or I might say something and you might find value in adding something else. So I want this to be a co-creative experience today. So I definitely honor you if you're a fellow certified professional and you want to make something known or have an opinion shared. Okay, my design, you can see here, I am a third line. Third lines are here to determinedly discover what works and what doesn't work. And my entire life, you can see that I'm a split definition. So I'm gonna get my little pen out so I can draw a little bit for people who aren't necessarily familiar with human design. What a split definition means is that there are two areas of definition, two islands, if you will, where they are not consistently connected up to one another. On the right-hand side, we have our conscious. On the left-hand side, we have our unconscious and imprinting. And then together in the chart, we will have definition or colored in centers that are going to be in a particular configuration. So we call this right here, what you're seeing, split definition. And as a basic split, two parts of me wanting, looking, yearning for the other half of me, so to speak, or the thing that's going to make me feel whole. I have been in relationships since I was 11 years old, on and off with different people, because one of the things that I recognize I do in my life is I learn about myself through my relationship to others. Perfect example of what a projector does. I'm a projector aura type, someone who is always looking to the other. That's my existential question. That's my thing that focuses me on allowing me to experience what life is like for me. To find success in life involves focusing on other people. Who are you? How am I here to interface with you? What can I bring to the table? How can I add my perspective? And so for me in relationship, seeing who the other is and figuring out what works in relationship is a split definition. They're always here. We are always here, wanting to figure out how to make the relationship work. We have a genetic imperative that leans us towards working on things. Whereas if you have a single definition, you may not feel as motivated or driven to want to work things out with a particular other, because you have a wholeness, a sense of completeness, and a sense of independence all on your own. So as a relationship guide, I have had a lot of experiences with relationships. I have two failed marriages and multiple strings of relationships that have been, maybe a few weeks at a time to a few months at a time to many years. And in all of them, throughout all of them, I have learned over time that it takes two to tango is one of those things that people say. It really takes a commitment from both parties in order for a relationship to work. And one of the things that we learn about in human design when we get to see why we use human design is that there is components of our design that helps us understand why we behave the way that we do with other people in relationship. So you can see why you think and why you do what you do in relationship if you know how to read the graph, if you know how to read your map, which can be like a balm on so much of the experiences of what happened in the past, and maybe berating yourself. Why did I do that? Why did I say this? Why does this particular experience keep happening over and over and over again? Why does this wound keep showing up? Why in the same relationship? Why am I picking the same person? Why am I making the same mistakes? The reason being is that there's a genetic imperative to mate with what is different. And oftentimes there's very deep conditioning that you can find from your mother, your father, certain people in your life that were really powerful or impactful in your life experience that you keep recreating the situation with if you have not yet learned the lesson and have not yet had the opportunity to heal that trauma or that wound. So understanding the components of your design can be a really powerful personal transformational tool when you apply it to relationships. It can increase your personal power. If you don't use something like design, you can risk being powerless in your relationships and keep on making the same mistakes and keep on struggling and fighting and not understanding why. If you don't use something like human design or some, there's all kinds of other things out there. Of course, I'm biased because I'm a professional and I love human design. It's my passion. So I'm going to talk to you about design in this respect, but that's not to knock. There's all kinds of other experiential wisdom that other people have to offer, from the shamanic path to family constellations, talk therapy, all kinds of things. But one of the things I love about design is that it gives you a no-nonsense structural approach about what to do, how to navigate. And that just goes back to strategy and authority. But understanding the why, the things that keep you up at night and drive you kind of crazy, that's what I love about human design. So here, if we can know our design, if we can know how to improve our relationships through clearer communication, better understanding, and more acceptance of ourselves and the other, through that awareness, through the navigation of what it is to be us, in this body, in this vehicle, in this lifetime, in this now, going through the life experiences that we're going through. All of us have a current life cycle, our Saturn return cycle, our Uranus opposition cycle, and our Chiron cycle, or healing the wound and flowering our full potential and our gifts. Those are all huge life cycles that we're all going to be somewhere along that path. And if we can understand ourselves navigating that path, we can come to grips with some of the reasons why and just relax and enjoy the experiential road of what it is to be us. If we do this with awareness, it becomes this amazing journey of self-discovery, and it's inspiring and it's enlightening, and it's something to laugh about rather than just get so down and so depressed that you feel like killing yourself, which is where I was about 6 years ago. Multiple times throughout my life, I've actually been hospitalized for attempting to do the deed, attempting to end it all and get rid of that pain and suffering, because I thought that there was something terribly, terribly wrong with me. So because we have the tool of human design, we don't have to continue the old patterning of pain and suffering. We get to see how are we designed to love and achieve our highest personal growth potential. If we don't use something like design, we keep getting the same results we've been getting unless something intervenes and something happens. So that's my reason why I use human design. And what I'm going to do in this next 45 minutes or so is talk about in general, some of the thematics of a really cool aspect of design called the love gates. So there's some resources when you get the download of this PDF, which I am going to provide to you with the recording. It's going to be hopefully posted on YouTube if this comes out any good. You'll have a link to a Dropbox you can download, and you can click to get the Love Gates audio, which is a wonderful 4-hour audio presentation from Raw about the Love Gates, where you can learn more about these thematics. There's also an ebook that has been transcribed and is offered for sale alongside the audio, because the audio is kind of older and it's not particularly great. There's also, if you just want a hard copy of the book, this link right here will give you a link to a click through link to Human Design America, where you can read the book itself and find it, and there it is right there. There's also the sexuality manual. So that's not something that I'm going to go into a lot of detail. You can see there's a lot more gates here, streams of sexuality that we're not covering today, but it is part of what I recognize can be helpful in your journey of relationships. So, how are you designed to love? This is a quote from Ra. The moment that you can see love for what it is, you can really be with someone. I mean, you can really be with somebody. It's not like you're being with someone who's a potential, that you're going to work on them, that maybe this will change or get better and so on. You can really be with them as they are because that love is correct. If you're honoring your inherent authority, and oops, hang on a second. My alarm is going off here. Stop, alarm. If you can honor your authority so that you are not getting distracted by what the homogenized world considers love to be, if you're honoring who you are and who that other person is, you're not trying to change or fix them, you're not trying to have whatever it is that you think you need, you're going to experience a differentiated kind of love, because all of us are designed to have a unique experience of what it is to be us and also what it is to be in love. There's an article here from Ra on understanding relationships that I want to link you to on Jovian Archive. And the thing that he says to understand in relationship is that it's important to first understand yourself. So today we're going to be looking at love gates. In other programs that I have either taught or have some free intros to on YouTube, we talk about type, we talk about angle, we talk about centers, circuitry, definition and openness or receptivity to the other, our connectivity or how we connect to each other, and variable. Those are different ways we can look at how we connect. And I actually have a video, if you haven't seen it, on YouTube that links you to a lot of the topics that I just described here. And again, today we're talking about how to understand relationships through the love gates. So the first thing to understand, if you haven't come across this information before, human design, is that we have a we have a genetic imperative to be attracted to difference. There is one side of a channel that you have a gate activation on one side, whether it be in a defined center, colored in center or not. And all around you, you are looking for the other side of the channel. You're looking for that other who's going to complete that channel and now create life force energy, now create an energetic sense of that connection with the other. And that's our genetics attracted to what we are not imprinted by. The difference is allowing us to experience a new kind of energy, an aliveness, a vitality, a new experience. All humans are geared to want to transform and reproduce and be able to have new experiences and new connections with others, because diversity of the gene pool is what creates a healthy species. So what can happen is we are ruled by our genes, attracted to people who are very, very different from us. And in the beginning, we have this juicy aliveness, this attraction, like, oh my God, that feels amazing. I found the one. And yet, if you think that, and you're drawn away on this, swept off your feet, or you're off on cloud 9 and you're making decisions spontaneously to mate with somebody who's different because I think I found the one. Hate that mistake lots of times. I'm an emotional projector. I'm not designed to chase, and I'm not designed to make spontaneous decisions about love. If we can follow all of this throughout this, our strategy, our decision-making strategy and authority, we can find the love, the connections that are right for us. For me as a third line, entering into the right thing, the correct experience that may or may not go right. May go right, may go wrong. If I'm a third line and I'm operating not in alignment, it's guaranteed that I go into the thing that is guaranteed to go wrong, because it's not what's in alignment for me. And I get a lot more traumatized when I have experiences that are off my path or not necessarily in alignment with what I'm authentically here to experience. So how do we design to love? How are we designed to love? Design is here to strip away the generalizations that torture us, says Ra, that somehow we have to be exactly the way Hollywood does it or whatever. Addicted to romantic comedies? Yep, that was me. So now each of us has a unique capacity for love. All of us have it. And the moment that you're living out your true nature, you get to experience your capacity for love. That's something really, really special. So now we get to go into relationship mechanics. And I'm going to briefly cover the love gates for you to speak to them a little bit and to see if you can recognize them in your life. Now, one of the things to be aware of is that there are two separate kinds of love gates. One are transcendent love gates, and one are a group of mundane or everyday, personal kinds of love. So we have transcendent love and we have personal love. What is transcendent love? Transcendent love is finding love through the other. It's not specific to that one other person. It's finding love through the other. And you're going to understand that more when we go into these in greater detail. So you can see that we have gate 25, universal love, gate 15, the love of humanity, gate 46, the love of the body, and gate 10, the love of being alive. That's its transcendent, or the love of life as it is, transcendent kind of love. Now that gate 10 does dual purpose in this body graph, this template of what it is to be human. We have these mundane or personal gates of love, and gate 10 turns into also self-love, love of myself, finding that through others. And that's its mundane application. We have gate 44, which is successful love. We'll talk more about how each of these work individually. Gate 40, earning love. Gate 58, perfecting love. Gate 41, dreams of love. Gate 28, love with purpose. And gate 55, eternally indecisive love. So now you're going to look at your body graph right now. Take a look at your body graph. Notice which ones are love gates. You might circle them. Take a little circle. You might write them down as we go through. And I want to invite you to contemplate as we go through these descriptions, and I tell you perhaps some stories or describe it a little bit further. Can you recognize its force in your life? Think back to people. If you've been studying design for a while, you might even know some people that have activated that love gate and taken, had an experience of that love gate with the other person because they're turning it on for you. Perhaps this gate is in an undefined center, meaning the center itself is not colored in, just like these examples. And the person on the other side, let's say you have gate 44 and they have 26. That person on the other side, boom, ooh, life force energy, attraction to difference. I'm smelling out the potential of the other, and together we could have successful love. We could have a love that ensures our survival. It supports our tribe, as an example. So those are the things that I want you to be aware of when you're looking at your design, okay? And I see that we have a question, so I'm just going to pause for a moment and see what it is. None of them. Aha, perfect. I'm really glad you mentioned that, Mona, because that's where I want to go to next as far as describing what happens when you do not have any of these gates. And usually someone will have one of these gates. But what happens when someone has none of these gates? That means that you have a deep receptivity to these thematics of love in your life. And so I'm going to read for you a little thing that I wrote for Jovian when I was asked to write about the love gates. So being receptive to these gates means, for you, Mona, and for anybody else who has an openness in the design where you do not have any of those aforementioned gates in your design, it means that you don't have them consistently energized in your design. It does not mean you do not have them. All of us have either receptivity or conditioning receptors where there's an openness in the center and the gate activation itself is open to the other side, so open to being conditioned. Or we have it consistent within our design, part of definition, part of colored in channels, or a center that's colored in that has that activation always on. So we have less of a flexibility than you do, Mona, when it comes to these love gates. So when they're open, this allows for flexibility of experiencing and embracing all of the subtleties of these love gates as your awareness of what love is for you in your life evolves. You are here to learn to be very wise about how the transits, the life cycles, the transit as it goes moment by moment, and other people around you who carry the imprint of a moment, a transit, how they interact with you, and how those energies are bringing these types of love experiences, this flavor of love into your life. So you're here to be wise about it. You're not here to make decisions on any of these love gates. You're here to learn about them in this lifetime, right? Because the decision making always comes through strategy and authority. And strategy and authority is based on the definition or not in the body graph, the configuration of the centers. And that is what hooks you into or aligns you to how you were here to be you. What you are authentically as a being, that moment of imprinting that we can see with the map, is what you're here to trust when it comes to making decisions about your love life. So when you have openness or receptivity to these love gates, you experience them as an amazing way for you to personally learn and grow, especially if you have gates that meet up with these gates of love on the other side of the channel. So what I mean by that is, let's say you don't have any of these, Mona, but take a look at your design. Where do you have gate activations that are on the other side of the channel? I'm going to just label out, list some words right now, so some numbers. Look down at your charts, and now I want you to circle if you do not have the other side of the channel. If you don't have this love gate, I want you to look to the other side of the channel, and I want you to circle these gates. So gate 57, gate 34, please circle. If you don't have the other side of the channel, gate 10. Gate 5, gate 29, if you don't have the other side of the channel, 15 or 46. Please circle 51. If you don't have the other side of the channel, 25. Okay, so if you have the 51, the 29, the 5, the 34, or the 57 circled, because you do not have the other side of the channel, that means that you're going to be receptive to attracting the other. So if you have the 57 or the 34, you're going to be attracted to 10s in your life. If you have the 5, hi, I am so attracted to 15s. If you have the 29, hi, I freaking love 46s. If you have the 51 and you don't have the 25, you're going to be attracted to that. Do you see how this works? So that means you're here to specifically learn about that kind of love in your love relationships when the other person brings that in. That is your openness or your receptivity to these love gates. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? Excellent. Good job for writing them down. So for you paying attention now, look at your mundane gates of love. I want to invite you, if you have this gate that I'm going to list to you, please circle it when you don't have the other side of the channel, okay? So now I want you to circle 26 if you have it and you don't have the 44. Please circle 38 if you have it and you don't have the 28. Please circle 18 if you have it and you don't have the 58. Please circle the 30 if you have it and you don't have the 41. Please circle the 39 if you have it and you don't have the 55. Please circle the 37 if you have it and you do not have the 40. So what I've just done for you on your body graph is shown you places that you're going to be attracted to very specific people on the other side of the channel that are going to activate your own one of these love gates. You're going to amplify the flavor of love from that other person. So as an example, if you have gate 18, the gate of challenging authority, fear of authority, standing up for basic and fundamental human rights, you have that gate and you attract into your life a 58. Now together you have the channel of judgment. Now together you may find, if you're not focusing that energy outward on the world, this is an energy that is designed to be collective. Even though it's a personal love, it's not about nitpicking each other and personally trying to perfect the other. But it becomes that when you're not aware and you're not operating in alignment with strategy and authority, what it can do is it can crumble a beautiful kind of love. If one person is amplifying the nitpicky nature of the 58, the critical, the I want to correct and perfect you, I want to love you, let me improve you, perfecting love in the quote unquote not self. If it's not been recognized, if it's not been invited, this is a projected energy. This can damage a relationship that otherwise has beautiful, beautiful potential. You know how I know that? I have this gate, 58, and I am deeply attracted to 18s because my father had the 18, and that the last couple of relationships that I've been, interested in the other. I'm repeating these patterns, looking to heal the trauma, looking to gain approval from the father. One of the things I remember Ross saying is to recognize the repeats of the patterns that you're doing when it comes to the significant others in your life. Look at your parents and look at the other. If you keep having trauma and challenges in relationship and you keep repeating the same old thing, look at the design. You can see a lot of times what's going on and why. Of course, all going back to, are you operating in alignment with strategy and authority? Now, for some of us, it can be too simplistic. It can be challenging. Some of us have undefined ajnas and heads like me and want to understand. I need to know why. If you're going to tell me to do something, tell me why. I can't just take a directive and do it without understanding the reason for it and wanting to correct and improve it somehow. So this is, again, it's not like sometimes you're going to be able to even do stuff about this. You're just going to see it helplessly and experience that energy. But at least if you go through the experience with awareness, it begins to crack that mindless reenactment of the traumas and the wounds. And it begins to allow some of the light in so that you don't suffer so much and you don't think about why me or why now or why again, all of these kinds of experiences. When you have these gate activations on the other side of the channel, you have a sensitivity to these love gates that we're going to talk about. All right, so just be aware of that. Now, you may see your human design chart right now, and all you're looking at is a piece of paper that shows you an imprinting of a moment that gives you your genetic predisposition in this life, right? You are not that piece of paper. You are going through your Saturn, your Chiron, your Uranus opposition. One of those perhaps is influencing you, most likely, because that pretty much covers, Saturn starts about 3.5 years before 29, 30, and it moves all the way up till your Uranus opposition. Uranus opposition happens about 38 to 44, mine's 44. And that's when you get your maturing phase, right? You go through kind of a midlife crisis. And that moves all the way up until your Chiron about age 50, where you have the potential flowering of your gifts, and that Chiron imprint, the healing of your wounding, happens throughout the rest of your life. Like, that is the imprint that shows you how you fulfill your life purpose. So somewhere along this line, most of us are adults, we're dealing with these thematics perhaps in a cycle chart. And so you might resonate with one of these gates, even though you look at it and go, well, how come I don't have one side of the channel or the other? So my friend Mona, as an example, Even though you don't have this imprint in your design, doesn't mean you might not resonate with it, because you are here to learn wisdom when it comes to meeting up with these love gates or these forces in your life. Okay? Well, if you're interested in being a part of a love workshop and you want to take advantage of being in a group together, please feel free to write me or just look on the website, look at the PDF. And I hope you had an enjoyable afternoon with me, Human Design Afternoon with me. For now, take care. See you later. Bye-bye.